No, my job is just to support y'all.
You know what, mate?
You do a great job. I'm glad we found you, bro.
I just think that your little restock, you know, is a game changer, man. And your tactical nous.
Well, I appreciate
Leading us
that.
to glory, mate. You're leading us to glory, mate.
Back. Pretty quick video. I want to talk a little bit about squad composition. It's not a very hot topic, but it should be something that's pretty important. Generally, whenever you watch a tournament like Twitch Rivals or any of those very competitive pro tournaments, what you can find is that they take a little bit more time deciding what everybody should run. You won't necessarily see a full team of snipers or a full team of people with SMG, because a lot of times you'll burn the same kind of ammo type. You also take into consideration like perks. If one person on your team doesn't have Ghost, one UAV is going to let everybody know that the squad is there. You don't need a full team of restock, for instance. You can have, if it's trios, just 2 people, or maybe 1, or quads, 2 or 3. Overkill could help in certain situations, but not everybody has to have overkill. Maybe just 2 people on your team. High alert is an interesting one, but again, same thing applies. You only really need 1 person with high alert. You also could only go 1 person with ghost, because if you have a full team and rotating, ghost would allow you to take different angles on how you're going to defend a position. So to give you a brief example, if you have a if you're holding the top of airport, and you have a 3-1 split with 1 person going to ATC, the person going to ATC could use Ghost, because that will allow them to keep their position a little bit more hidden, so they're able to continue to help at airport without necessarily getting pushed. But you have to take into consideration like the full team composition on how it's going to look. Let's take a look at the tier 3 perks, because it's a little bit interesting. You can run a squad where everybody runs amped. That's completely viable. Combat Scout can help on certain situations, but I mean, it really is kind of niche. It has interesting effects, but for a squad, most of what it does can be fixed by good communication and by pinging. The ones that are interesting are Spotter, Tracker, and I guess possibly Battle Hardened, because what you can do is have 1 person in these roles. You only need 1 person with Spotter to be able to utilize its effects. You don't have to have a full team knowing that there's claymores there. The person with Spotter can ping. The same thing with Tracker. Tracker allows you to see markers at enemy death locations. So take for an example, if you're holding down one building and there's a team next to you, you may not be fighting the team next to you, but you may see the death markers of the team dying next to you, so that'll let you know that the team was there, or that there's a team fighting there, even if you don't necessarily know like what's happening. Maybe you don't know if they're engaging a team that's further away, or if they're fighting inside the same building. Like, it'll let you know through the walls what's going on. So you only need 1 person with Tracker, 1 person with Spotter, and the perks may not be that good by themselves, but 1 on the team is good enough. On the tier 1 perk, the only thing that I could say is possibly Kill Chain. Kill Chain is not that good of a perk. However, if you have 1 person with Kill Chain, they could be the person that opens up the boxes for you. You can ping the boxes, they come in, open up the box, and it's not going to help too much on like duos, because you get 2 kill streaks and then that's it, you're full. But on quads, I was able to let my teammates know that I had Kill Chain. Anytime we came up to a box, they'd ping it. I'd come up, open up the box, I get a cluster, precision UAV, whatever it is, and then each teammate would get one. So I was able to make sure that the entire team had kill streaks going into late game. And I think in that particular game we went up against the Juggernaut, and precisions, clusters, it was just too much, and we were able to beat the Juggernaut, and we won the game. It was one of my first wins actually. But looking at the equipment, if you're gonna have explosives, you can run a full team of explosives where y'all just throw in explosives to a building. If you want to run claymores with restock, you don't need to have everybody running claymores. You can dupe it with a lethal, and oftentimes you can bring a lethal in. So I'll go more into depth on this on a different video, but you can duplicate your claymores and provide them for the team. I've done this many times. I'll be the only one running claymores, but the next thing you know it, me and the squad have 8 claymores posted up around the building. Complete randoms, they don't know me, they don't run restock, they don't run clays, but I'm able to give them all claymores. And then I just call it out. I say, hey, I got 2 more clays, and somebody else comes up and puts them down. But claymores, proximity mines, and C4 can all be used defensively and all have their strengths and weaknesses. I can go more into how to hold a position with C4s and where a proximity mine might be better than a claymore. But for the most part, it's good to have a variety. Like, claymores aren't going to help you in positions where proximity mines may be better, and vice versa. So it's good to have a variety. If you have all claymores on your team, how are you going to push a building? That has to be taken into consideration. And tacticals, I don't want to go too much into stims. It doesn't really help too much in terms of squad composition. It has its place, but heartbeat sensor is a prime example. If you have 1 heartbeat sensor, that's probably enough right there. You don't really need to have 4 people on your team with heartbeat sensors. I know that's generally the standard, is that every single person has a heartbeat sensor. But 1 person can be running smokes, 1 person can be running flashes or snapshots, and then 1 person on the team should almost always be running gas grenades. So the thing about gas grenades is, if a teammate goes down and you throw a gas grenade, it almost guarantees that you can get the res off without a team pushing you. There's been multiple times where I throw a couple gas grenades and I am very easily able to get the res. I don't even worry that somebody might even consider pushing me. But again, they all have their plays. However, if everybody runs heartbeat sensor, then you're not really getting the advantage. Now, finally, I'm going to go into the guns real quick. It's something that's always bothered me for a little bit on how you handle the ammo situation. If somebody has an LMG, they're able to carry a lot more ammo or a lot more firepower. But LMG, short range ARs, long range ARs, DMR, like all of these consume AR ammunition. So you get a little bit pressed on how much ammunition you're going to be spending. You get double ammunition. You get ammunition for the launcher category as well as ammunition for AR category. So say, for instance, if one of my teammates is running a launcher, I can grab him launcher, then I can give him my AR, which would give him launcher ammunition as well as AR. So he instead of what he may already have, so say he has AR plus a launcher, he's only going to get a total of AR and launcher ammunition, whereas if I give him my gun, he can hold a teammate's gun and allow him to get more ammunition. He can get ammunition for his AR, so say for his Krig or Cold War AK or whatever it is, plus his RPG. And yet still have enough space so he can get sniper ammo for another teammate or something like that. So the launcher underbarrels are able to help you quite a bit if one of your teammates has a launcher. It's also interesting to note, okay, what kind of SMGs are we going to run? Because if you run an SMG, say for instance, like a MAC-10, the MAC-10 is known for burning a lot of ammo very quickly because it has a fire rate of roughly 1,000 RPM. And if the SMG category itself has less maximum ammo capacity, it only has 150. So if you're running a Mac 10, you're going to burn through so much more ammo, so one of your teammates should be carrying ammo for the SMG category. SMG is pretty plentiful, but if y'all both are running SMG that can burn, somewhat quickly, you also want to have a SMG that's going to be better for a little bit longer range. That's partly why I like the AUG with the 5.56 so well. This AUG, if you equip the 5.56, you still receive SMG ammo anytime you reach for an ammo crate, but what it does is it gives you more more range, so it allows it to be used a little bit more versatile, almost like an AR. But if you both are running mid-range guns, you're both going to generally waste the same kind of ammunition type. So if you're running a mid-range AR and he's running a mid-range AR, you're going to both burn the same ammo. With the SMG that's built for long range, y'all can burn two different ammo types firing against the same range. That brings me off to my next point. Whenever we look at building our own loadouts, what we're generally looking at is what can my loadout accomplish and what can it not accomplish. So just to give you a quick example, looking at this loadout here, say for instance I put this. I got a long range AR and a medium range SMG or short range SMG. So what this is going to do is give me enough of a matchup that I can fairly compete at up to around 100 meters, roughly 100, 150 meters at the max. But once you start getting to that those high double digits, then you start having a very difficult time competing with the sniper rifles, marksman rifles, and so on. So we normally look at it in that kind of way. Some people may put on a Car 98 instead. If you put on a car, then you have that kind of mid-range weakness. And then from that point, what somebody would do is possibly put on a balanced AR. But I mean, you're still going to be short to a certain degree. You're not going to be able to accomplish everything. And that's where squad composition comes into play. You may not need an SMG as long as you can compete somewhat. Your team needs to have an overall amount of close range power, mid-range power, and long range power. So you don't need everybody running snipers, although it does have its place, depending if you're holding like a power position. But it just needs more of a balance. You don't need everybody with RPGs. Again, that does have its place. And you definitely don't need everybody with Riot Shields. Quickly though, if one of y'all has a Riot Shield and another person has a launcher, you can shoot through the Riot Shield. Apparently, I haven't done it yet, but I imagine that'd be a very, very good way to handle hackers, because you can just keep shooting rockets through the Riot Shield and not worry about harming yourself or your teammates. But anyways, so having a good balance of range of weapons, having a good balance of tacticals. Again, another reason why I like running the underbarrels is because my teammates don't always have the equipment that I need. So say for instance I want a gas grenade, I still may also want a smoke grenade, but my teammates aren't always gonna have that. So I kind of like try to use the underbarrel launcher so I can have add to the flexibility of the team. You only could need maybe one or two underbarrel launchers, and then everybody else bears the rest of the load. One heartbeat sensor, one gas grenade, one stims, and so on. But I mean, I think I covered the majority of it. I got one more thing to say about LMGs. I think shotgun, obviously SMGs are better, a little bit further range. Shotguns are a little bit better closer up, but for the most part, it keeps the same kind of categorization. Yeah, so the last thing is going to be the LMGs. So with the LMGs, they're generally for holding down a particular point, and I don't mean just holding down as in like if you're guarding a building or guarding a road or something like that. What I mean is, if you have a 4-team squad, the LMG is designed to push people to the rest of your team. If you're guarding a hill, for instance, what you want to do is you want to use that to guard the main road, so that way people can't come through the easiest terrain, and it forces them around. So not everybody needs an LMG, but it would help to have one person on your squad running an LMG. I'm just giving examples. Like obviously, this depends on the individuals. It depends on the squad. Like concept as a whole, and it depends on the terrain. But it is something that does deserve a second look at.